Hello to everyone and the internet. Welcome to Tuesday, maggots. January 29th. I am Nathan of Washington, and you're watching The Young Globalist, and this is the news in 2019. Alright everybody, so Obama-era politicians act like they're still in power. And honestly, I was always wondering if the deep state conspiracy was real, or if it could even be proven. And I was extremely skeptical, but this might do it. Sometimes people could barely even explain what the deep state was supposed to be, but this not only might prove it, but also explains it. Basically, Barack Obama and John Kerry still go around the world making deals with world leaders and attending summits on our taxpayer money, on our dime. In other words, rather, shall we say, presidential behavior? It even seems like a lot of the Democrats in Congress react to Obama like he's still in charge, like he's the leader of some sort of coalition. Even if it's not a coalition, it is functionally a coalition. At one point, John Kerry traveled to Iran to try and save the Trump-scrapped Iran deal. Again, like they're still in power. The neolibs and Associated Democrats are constantly undermining President-elect Donald Trump. Like, they're always constantly getting in his way. Sometimes whether they have any right to or not. Like, when the Republicans got in Obama's way, at least they were doing it from a position where they kind of, had the right to do so, because they were actually officially in an office of some kind. But a lot of these guys aren't. About half of them are, half of them aren't. And if that doesn't sell you on this, how about this? Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and other socialist politicians were trying to go on that trip that got canceled by Trump. If you look at the itinerary they had planned, it was eerily similar to John Kerry and Obama's itinerary. Incredibly suspicious. I mean, that's not concrete. Like I said, philosophical evidence. If you can prove how something works in principle, then that opens the door wide open to the possibility of it being a thing. If you can prove how it works in principle, if you can explain it. In other words, what we're saying here is that the deep state is comprised, it would seem, of former Obama-era politicians. In other words, the Obama administration, which is trying to criminally subvert the system. The Obama administration is the deep state. There's two governments. There's the legitimate government of Donald Trump, and there's this other government of former President Barack Obama trying to subvert the system and undermine Trump. Try and push things in their direction, It certainly seems that way. So this is philosophical proof. It shows how something would work in principle. Even shows some real physical proof that there's definite collusion. I believe the term coalition would definitely apply in this case. It's a coalition of Obama-era Democrats and neoliberals to push their agenda onto the system, whether the system will accept it or not. So at the very least, it is a definite coalition. So now I think I'm a little more of a deep state believer than I used to be. This has swung me in the direction that it is definitely a thing. Swung me hard. Former Mayor Willie Brown says that Kamala Harris slept her way to the top. Basically, in return for sex and sexual favors, Brown appointed Harris to the position of the Unemployment Assurance Appeals Board and the California Medical Assistance Commission. These positions alone earned her $400,000 over 5 years. Mind you, a sexual relationship between two consenting adults is perfectly fine. Especially if it's also fine for those relationships to involve gifts, unless those gifts happen to be high-paying political jobs. Are you putting someone in those positions because they're actually qualified and can do the job and have a good platform? Or are you just doing it for them as a favor? In which case they could be horribly unqualified. I think we both know the answer to that question. A lot of evidence suggests Kamala Harris was not qualified for these positions. She didn't have enough experience. They were just a favor from a sex partner. How very, very shallow. Kamala Harris is probably the only candidate for president the Dems have that is in any way appealing. This is the most appealing person they have right now. That is amazing. In terms of her politics and her platform. Not necessarily as a person, but there you go. Mind you, the relationship was a bit creepy, as there's a 31-year age gap there. Like, she's fairly close to my age, and he's like, I don't know, man, he's almost a septuagenarian. For those of you who are not language nerds, septuagenarian, that means someone who's in their 70s. Septuagenarian. Some other more sensible gifts in the relationship came in such forms as a 1994 BMW. Willie Brown was basically a sugar daddy, and such one-sided relationships are never healthy. I should know, I was in one not too long ago. But not anything quite like this, however. This makes what I was involved in look cute. Looks absolutely cute. But California Senator Kamala Harris is basically riding a buzzwave, the likes of which we haven't seen in years. The question is whether she can turn the buzz into a solid political operation, which is a quote of Willie Brown, and speaking about Kamala Harris. Yeah, another dirty politician who's got that sort of cult of personality around him. You ever hear that song by In Living Color? Great song. A bit repetitive, but great song. And it really is very true. Particularly in the area of creepy-ass Kamala Harris and her creepy little sugar daddy boyfriend, Willie Brown. Moving on to our final story today. Short episode. Sign the petition. Impeach Pelosi. The petition reads, Nancy Pelosi is a traitor to the American people. The Constitution defines treason against the U.S., adhering to the enemies, giving them aid and comfort. Illegal aliens are enemies that invade our country with drugs, human trafficking, and terrorists, causing death and crime to American citizens. Nancy Pelosi adheres to these enemies by voting for and providing them aid and comfort through sanctuary policies funded by U.S. citizens' tax dollars, and refuses to protect American people by refusing to fund our border wall, leaving our borders open and unsafe. Pelosi refused to meet with the Angel families, caused the government shutdown, then traveled on U.S. dollars to Hawaii and Puerto Rico, while 800,000 federal workers don't get paid and uninvited Trump for so too. Impeach Pelosi for treason. So, helping criminal illegals get across the border head to sanctuary cities because criminal illegals vote left could be seen as treason. My point would be more on the thing about her spending government and U.S. dollars on her little trips, while 800,000 federal workers went unpaid. That should be considered a criminal action. That's wasting the country's money. Still nothing compared to the money wasting of Obama, but bad enough. Bottom line, there's a lot of things about Nancy Pelosi that are very impeachable. I'll give a link in the description of this video to the petition so you can go and sign it, or not sign it if you don't want to sign it. But just look it over, think about it, look at her history. Like, she's one of the major, if not the #1 Democrat in support of sanctuary cities and all that nonsense. So just think about it. Anyway, that's it for the Unglobalist today, folks. I'm out.